The RV Show USA is brought to you by Rockwood, building better RVs, making smarter RVers.
The RV Show USA is brought to you by PPL Motorhomes, the largest consignment RV dealer in the nation.
You know, living here in South Texas, we don't really catch too much super cold weather. Most of these parts, throughout the Sun Belt, we don't have to worry about winterizing our RVs. Winterizing does take a few hours to do, but it's almost always time well spent. Now, for many who took the shortcut in winterizing, maybe you didn't even do it at all this last October, you may be in for a big old mess when you fire it up and get ready for your first camping trip of the season. Even folks down here in the South who have had their RV stored for several months may experience some issues on their maiden voyage this year. To get some perspective and advice on getting your RV campground ready, let's run out to line 3, and Diana from PPL Motorhomes is with us. Diana, so much to cover, so little time.
Sounds like your time has been a little crazy. You've been a busy man, yes.
a little bit. So what do we want to do? Do we want to start out inside or outside on seeing how our RV made it through the winter? What do you want to talk about first?
Oh, I'm going to start outside. I have a checklist that I go through on the outside. That's the way it starts, and then you just go from there.
Well, of course you have a checklist. You are RV Nana. You have a list for everything. So where do we begin?
Well, you have to begin by safely getting on the roof. Now, if you aren't capable of getting on the roof, you find somebody who can do it for you. There's a few things you want to look to see if it's been stored, whether it's been stored outdoors or it's been stored inside. Just make sure that the vents are okay, the AC shroud is okay, the antenna is okay. You know, I've been known before to bump something with my antenna, and I didn't realize for months that it had broken off. I don't watch a lot of TV. I did the radio with you instead, you know. So, but
now, isn't it true that water is probably the biggest enemy of RVs?
Oh, it's a huge enemy, and it's a silent enemy because it starts leaking, and you don't know it for months. Then all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, it does show up.
Yeah, that's why, I even think, we start out on the outside, but first off, I take a little walk through the inside and look around. Okay, thank goodness there's nothing visible. Now let me get up on top and just make sure there's nothing that's going to be cracking. And that Eternabond tape is really good stuff if you're in a pinch, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And there's some great products for when you're in a pinch. And you don't realize that cold weather, it's freezing and then it's burning and it's freezing again and it's rained on. And you need to check for all of the seals around all of the roof vents, everything up there. Make sure that there aren't even the smallest cracks in any of the caulk around the roof. And that's the thing where it sneaks in on you when you least expect it.
And even down underneath, there's mice. I say that, a little mouse can almost make itself perfectly flat and get into just such tiny areas that hopefully people look before they put their RV away for the winter. But oftentimes this time of year they go and they find a little nest where they got steel wool and little pieces of string and all kinds of stuff inside their RV from critters that climbed in.
Oh, that is like my worst nightmare. I can't stand the thought of a critter being in anything. I know that's crazy, but I'm like, ugh. But it does happen, and I've seen how destructive they can be. They'll get in and eat into the sofa. They think that wonderful, all the matting or the padding in the sofa becomes part of their nest. It's great. And so, you're going to watch for that. You want to inspect that. You just want to think about it that you don't want any surprises when you take your RV out the first time.
The tires are that's one of my sticklers, I mean, the tires, that they can look good and still be bad.
Somebody told me once, and I've heard it several times since, that even if your RV is stored and you aren't driving it, there's a chemical that can leach out of concrete if it's parked on concrete that can hurt your tires after they sit for a long time. I don't know if that's true. Tire experts out there, y'all can tell me if it is or not. But you want to check your tires, and just because you have low mileage on your tires doesn't mean they aren't dry rotted or they don't have a problem. If you have tires that are over 7 years old, don't even think about it. Replace the tires now before you're in trouble.
I don't have time to go into it now, but I've said it many times on the show about my experience of having great looking tires on my old Avion travel trailer and having the blowout. It's boy, talk about an expensive way to learn a lesson. But the other thing about tires, if you don't have a tire pressure monitoring system, a TPMS, this is the time of year to get one, I think, Diana.
Well, more importantly, I mean, everybody doesn't have the big monitoring system, but at the same time, take time to just check the tire pressure. A plain, just a regular
pressure gauge.
Pressure gauge. That's all you really need. And check it yourself, because all of a sudden you're going to realize that one of them is 8 or 9 pounds low. And take it by your discount tire or one of those places and have them check it if you're in doubt. Don't just assume they're okay. That's not a good thing.
What about generators? If I've got a generator, what should I do with that?
Well, I'm not the queen of generators by any means, but I will tell you that they should be run on a regular basis, because the worst thing you can do for a generator is letting it sit. If that generator sits, it's just like your lawnmower in the garage. If it sits with old fuel in it, old gas in it, it becomes kind of like a lacquer, and that's not a good thing for you to have happen. So I suggest that you make sure that you run them on a regular basis, fire it up, and if it acts like it's acting up, get somebody to check it for you to make sure that it's really running right. It could be something as simple as a carburetor that needs to be replaced.
Yeah, every 30 days, I say start it up, as Billy Thibodeau says, start it up, run it for an hour, and just make sure, and then you can shut her down, but don't let that fuel just sit for months and months at a time. Let's move to the inside of the RV to pull it out of hibernation. I guess the first thing, your nose is going to tell you if you might have a problem.
Oh, yes, it will. It's going to tell you right away if there's a problem. And that problem's normally going to be mold or mildew. If your nose is talking to you about it, I promise you. It's going to be something from moisture. Now, the other thing is, please tell me that everybody always empties their holding tanks before they store their RV, because that can be a pretty disgusting smell after 2 or 3 months, too. And you've got to think about that. But take time. Now's the time to go through. Check all your window sills. Make sure that there's no leaks that have shown up around the windows. There's caulk around those windows on the outside, too, and if that's got a leak in it, you're going to see a leak on the inside. And I had a wonderful customer the other day. She came in because she needed a new vent lid, but she said her story was that she had one of those pillows in there that is supposed to protect, from the heat as far as it keeps the RV cooler. And it was leaking up there, but she had the pillow, and it was just absorbing it and rotting that whole area. So,
like a sponge.
Just like a sponge. So let your nose do some talking there to you. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and I tell people, my suggestion is don't wait until the day before you're going to go on your first camping trip of the year to go and prep your RV. Get out there a couple of weeks early, do a little bit today, and then go back a few days later, do a little bit more, and you will figure out that if you didn't clean your RV completely, but when you put it in storage, you're going to wish you did, because it's got to be cleaned again.
Oh, that's true. And even if you did, I don't always leave linens and all on the bed. I want to have fresh linen. So all the towels in there in the spring, I take all the towels, everything, and do a couple loads of laundry and get it all fresh. It just makes me feel better. And, it's just one of those things that if it smells good, it probably is going to enjoy your trip a lot more.
Now should people have left a crack, a vent in their RV, in your opinion, Diana? I know I've heard both ways, but over the wintertime, just to let it breathe, or do you say no?
I've never heard it over the winter time. I've heard that for during the summer because of the heat that builds up in there. But I haven't heard it over the winter. But then I'm from South Texas, and we don't have the same kind of winter that a lot of your listeners have, because you've got a lot of them that are, way up north, and they could teach us a thing or two about cold weather.
Yeah, they can. Listen, I'm getting the signal from Shemaiah. We got to wrap it up, but thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Have a great week.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right, folks, that is one smart lady right there, Diana, also known as RV Nana from PPL Motorhomes, with more than 700 used RVs in stock right now. You can look at all of them online, pictures, prices, everything. Just go to their website, pplmotorhomes.com. pplmotorhomes.com.